Good morning, everyone. My name is Xun. You can also call me Nick. Today, I'm here to talk to you about shelter dogs. How do you describe shelter animals to your families, to your friends? When you hear the term shelter dogs, this might be the image that first comes to your mind. No creatures are born to end up in a cage. If given fair chances, will their lives be different? Every minute, 6 dogs end up in a rescue shelter or humane society. 3.3 million dogs enter 3,500 animal shelters across the U.S. each year. 670,000 dogs are euthanized each year. The goal of the Best Friends Animal Society is to end the killing in America's animal shelters by 2025. To achieve this goal, more people need to adopt from shelters and fewer people abandon their animals. While working as a volunteer at the adoption events, I saw how much New Yorkers love dogs. The events were always crowded with visitors, but what about after people seeing these dogs? Unfortunately, many people treat adoption events like visiting a zoo. They were only attracted by the coolness without understanding why these dogs were in shelters. People who already care about this issue will continue to care about it. But what about those who don't have the correct information? What will help them to start caring? According to the Washington Post, Americans will want more than 9.2 million dogs by 2036. With this huge demand for dogs, why aren't people adopting? For potential adopters, my research identified 2 main barriers. Barrier 1. Potential adopters are lacking connections with shelter dogs. Adopters nearly always ask about the background of the dog. According to a recent report, the reasons they say for not adopting are 1. My local shelters don't have the type of breed of dog I'm looking for. 2. They want a purebred dog. 3. They think dogs from shelters have behavioral problems. Does the dog have any fears or triggers that will cause him to be aggressive? There's a huge psychological barrier with accepting the idea of adoption. They think dogs from shelters are harder to train than the dogs you can buy from a breeder. And buying from a breeder permits the opportunity for them to shape the dog's personality from the very beginning. We all have our favorite breed of dog, but all dogs are unique. It's important to understand looks don't equal behavior. Barrier 2. Potential adopters have negative biases against shelter dogs. Many people do not consider adoption because they think it will be too much responsibility. They think those more challenging dogs should be left for the dedicated dog lovers who are willing to spend more time and energy fixing their behavioral problems and taking care of them. But it's less about the dog and more on how willing the owner is to tackle the issues. Things like chewing or getting into the garbage should be the least of adopters' concern, as these bad habits can be easily corrected. Think about it. Even if you buy a puppy, you will be training these skills out of them from the beginning. Training and socializing a dog never ends. Another problem is people don't educate themselves about the rescue world. The previously abused backstory is something potential adopters also love to assume when they get a dog from the shelter. But the truth is that most of the dogs haven't suffered from terrible abuse. They may have suffered the abuse of neglect, poor training, or just lack of supervision, so they ran away. Many people talk to animals, but not very many listen. There is something more important than love and affection for dogs, and that is understanding. Potential adopters are having these 2 barriers now because they are lacking an engaging way to learn the truth. As a result, they were only receiving the information passively. Without understanding, potential adopters won't have the knowledge and courage to adopt. But who are these potential adopters? I found 3 types. The first type is obsessed with looking at dog pictures and videos on social media. The second type is willing to build network with dog owners, including hearing their stories and sharing their experiences. The third type attends dog-related events. I realized the most important storytellers for potential adopters are the dogs. Let me introduce DogGone.Fun. The idea of DogGone.Fun is to create a community, help the dogs go into forever loving homes from shelters by telling the stories in a new and engaging experience. You may wonder, what do I mean by new and engaging experience? My solution is to attract potential adopters' interest to learn more about the rescue world and reduce their biases by turning shelter dogs into storytellers and share the information through multiple avenues. DogGone.Fun has 2 parts. The first part is online, to target the potential adopters that have the interest of looking at dog pictures and videos on social media. The second part is an in-person event. It's where the 3 online elements come together and strengthen the connection between shelter dogs and potential adopters. Now, I'm going to talk a little more about how it works. The first online element is voice acting. I wrote stories of the dogs in the first person based on the information shared by volunteers and shelter on the website. I then posted on Hit Record and started a voice acting challenge. I got 11 contributors and for 2 different stories, and here's an example.
Hello, my name is Bruno. I'm about 1 year and 2 months old. I came into the shelter as an owner surrender. My previous owner only kept me for about 3 months. I don't think they understand me well. Or maybe it's just because they're inexperienced with dogs.
Yeah, so I just posted the script of the story online, and a stranger, the volunteer, record the stories for us. So it's really easy way to help the dogs for people to learn the truth. So the second online element is news reporting. By turning adopted dogs into adopted dogs into news reporter to share the stories of the dogs waiting to get adopted. The acceptance of multiple forms of storytelling is very high and often gets more likes and comments, which means more engagement. The third online element is art creating. The art portraits you are seeing now are all created by artist volunteers. I didn't limit the forms, but the only requirement is to create art based on the story I share with them. After the art was created, I added a caption and posted on social media to raise awareness. Potential adopters showed interest in learning these stories in many ways, after which I invited them to an in-person event. It's called DogGone Experience, from the shelters to the solutions. I partnered with Animal Care Centers of NYC. A representative came and discussed various reasons why dogs are entering shelters. We started with an ice-breaking activity by making assumptions of why dogs are entering shelters, and then we vote on top 3 reasons as a group. After that, we heard the voice acting story, and the potential adopters may realize some of their assumptions were wrong. We also did empathy maps to find out ways how each of us can contribute, and wrote postcards to thank the employees and volunteers from the shelters. The participants loved and enjoyed the experience, and there's a lot of interest of joining and hosting the future event. I want DogGone.Fun can be something people walk away from feeling they can take action. I'm in conversation with Animal Care Centers of NYC to discover diverse forms of collaboration. I hope this can be adapted into their existing system smoothly so they can reach out to more potential adopters. The dogs you are seeing now are the dogs I posted from February to March of this year. There were 23 of them and 21 got saved or adopted. With all these great materials and examples of how each of us can contribute, I hope the public can not only sympathize with animals, but take practical actions to save vulnerable lives. whether it's through adoption or educate others about the truth. Whether you love animal or not, they still have the rights of a life freed from abuse and neglect. Animal problems are often caused by human beings, meaning facing the problem of our animal are social problems we are responsible for addressing. As a designer with a background in advertising, I believe there are opportunities for all of us to do social good, no matter what your profession is. It's not about just saving a dog immediately. It's about changing people's perspective and decrease their biases so they can eventually make the choice to adopt or help others or encourage others to do the same. One of the big life lessons Shelter Dog taught me is, even when facing difficulties, love can heal. Thank you for everyone from DSI, and thank you for everyone encouraged and helped me during the process. Thank you.